guys, what's going on? A bunch of you guys are asking for a comparison video between the old Tatula 100 TWS versus the new CT Tatula TWS. Now, I've been fishing them both pretty hard today. Caught some good fish on the Vile Craw. If you guys haven't seen those on Facebook or Instagram, I'll put a few pictures at the end of this video. But I'm playing around with the square bill, the Vile Craw today. I only brought 2 rods, those 2 reels, so I could really give them a good workout. You guys know I fished the old Tatula all last season, but like I said, I cranked a lot this morning with the new CT. As far as performance goes, how the reel handles, drag, all that stuff, to me, they're identical. There's no difference as far as I'm concerned. Throughout the day, as I was going back and forth between baits, I couldn't even really, it didn't hit me which reel was in my hand. That's how close they perform alike. I mean, it's identical to me, and the next thing that's going to be is the size of the frame. And again, having a bigger hand, the size difference to me really doesn't play a big role. I mean, if you have a smaller hand, you're going to notice the size difference, but it's not huge. If the old Tatula is comfortable in your hand, I really don't see any reason to go out and get the new CT unless you want it, if you like how it looks. Maybe you want to throw a smaller diameter line since it does have a smaller spool in it. It holds less line. But the old Tatula, it's a tried and true. It's a beast of a reel. I mean, for the price, it's really tough to beat. And I just want to stress that if you have a small hand, you may want to try the CT. But like I said, I wouldn't go selling your old Tatulas to get the new CT if you're happy with the old one, because to me, there's not much of a difference. Like I said, going back and forth today between baits, it was hard for me to tell which one was in my hand unless I looked at it. So, I mean, they perform identical. And like I said, as far as how they palm, having a bigger hand, it's really not much. It's really not much of a difference to me. With a smaller hand, you will notice it, but again, it's not huge. Like I said earlier, the only other difference really is the spool size. The old Tatula does hold more line. I'm not for sure really how much, maybe like 20 yards more. But I mean, I'm throwing 17-pound test on the CT. I got 15-pound Invis-X here on the old Tatula here. Both of them hold more than enough line, to fish whatever. Even if I would have put 20-pound on that CT, it holds plenty of line. So, unless you want to throw like 25-pound, mono, that something has a bigger diameter, if you feel you need that much line, go with the old one. But still, the CT holds more than enough in my opinion. It will probably handle smaller baits a little bit better. It's got a smaller spool, less line. The spool's going to be a little bit lighter. You'll get a little bit more distance in it, but I don't think really it's going to be all that noticeable. So, price point, the old Tatula retails $150, the CT is $130. You can find that old Tatula all day long for like $90 or $100. I've seen a few guys selling the CT on Facebook for like $100. You can just weigh it out. Obviously, people want to go usually with a newer reel. But, I mean, I guess this is for guys that are looking, guys and gals, that are looking at the new CT, wanting to know if it's a huge difference between the two. I'm going to give you guys a close look here. Alright, hopefully the sun, with the sun you guys can see this. Alright. How good this is going to show up. Side by side over here, this is the old Tatula. Here's the new CT. Like I said, it's really not much difference. You can see the old Tatula just a little bit wider, the spool's a little bit wider. But overall, it's not a huge difference. If the old Tatula was comfortable to you, like I said, I don't see a reason to go out and buy the new one unless you just want it. But I think some guys were unhappy with how big the old one is, you know, so the new one, the new CT, is a little bit smaller. So those of you that were waiting for a smaller reel, you know, definitely go check out the CT. But again, it's not a huge difference. So if you guys can see that there. Like I said, both just solid reels. I mean, it is tough to beat the Tatula for the price. Hopefully that answers some of you guys' questions. There's just not a whole lot to say about them. You know, it's not like they perform any different. I can't say anything about, you know, the brakes or casting distance. You know, they both got TWS. They both cast really well, pitch really well. You know, you can't go wrong with either one. Bottom line, if you got a smaller hand, you may like the CT. You know, the CT is a little bit cheaper, full retail. The CT holds less line. The old one here holds a little bit more line, but both hold plenty of line, you know, to fish, whatever. So, guys, hopefully that answered your guys' questions. Really appreciate you guys watching. If you guys liked the video, remember to give me a thumbs up. Thanks again, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.